What's going on, guys? Today I'm bringing you my Warden build. Um, I'm not going to go too depth into the armor, gear, companion bonuses, and mount shits. Just because, like, if you're endgame, you know what you need to get to the stat caps that you want to be at. I mean, I got pretty decent stats. This is me unbuffed. Pretty much for the most part, everything caps. Um, yeah, so basically this whole build revolves around this Mirage set. Um, take my word for it, man. As a warden, and I'll explain it in depth. These weapons are essential for this build. If you use something else, say you use Mastercraft, I don't believe you'll be doing as much damage as if you were using the Mirage set. So, if you don't know what the Mirage does, when you're using a counter power, you become Master of Illusion, so basically you get three motherfuckers that are attacking some other motherfucker for you. And I wouldn't read too much into it. It says attacking your enemies is be forewarned, illusion magic can occasionally produce foul results. I don't really understand what that really means, but it only occurs every 30 seconds. So say you got a 5-minute boss fight, it's popping out 2 times every single minute. So for those 10 seconds, as a warden, it's doing insane amount of damage. Um, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go too far in depth with the gear. Um, let's see, let me put this on. Okay. Um, basically, if you're running MTOS, you're running the new trial. Just, I'm like me personally, I'm trying to stack as much damage as I possibly can while still capping my stats. So just try to do that as best as you can. Some people don't know about this artifact. I got it and I didn't really realize what it was, but you're basically getting like with 7.6% extra crit strike. If you're low on the crit strike, which you probably will be, because if we go on our powers here, we lose 5% here and we gain 10% crit severity. So that's one thing that I kind of love to use for this build, getting that extra 7.5% every single 60 seconds. There's also one other stat I'd like to talk about. Now this went down again. I don't know why it went down again. But basically, I was at like 28.5% recharge speed, and that's like really essential to this build as well. It just helps you. The more recharge speed you have, the better. And I'll get into that. And start up here at the at-wills. So basically, we're using Storm Strike 99% of the fucking time. If you're in a big AoE situation, you can use this, and I'll explain that a little bit further. For single target, mainly always Storm Strike, but you can always use Rapid Strike, but I normally prefer to use Storm Strike just because it'll hit over 100k, and then that 100k means that you did 10% of your health. So if you're running one of those gear pieces that you need to get a stack by hitting over 10% of your health, it's essential to use this. But if you're not, like I'm not, like if you've seen the gear I was wearing, I'm not. So this could work because basically you're casting every 0.2 seconds. So in that 0.6 seconds of time, you're doing 90 magnitude damage. And this is doing 90 magnitude every 0.6 seconds, so technically, if you think about it, you're doing around roughly the same amount of damage. And counter powers, and plus, I'll get into it a little bit. Yeah, let me start with the daily. Though this is gonna be your main daily. Basically, it does a burst hit, then for 10 seconds you do extra magnitude damage. It pairs with this feat down here. You gain an extra 50 magnitude, so to total you're doing 90 magnitude damage for 10 seconds. And since this cast time is lower, you're hitting it more often, say on a boss fight, than you would be hitting with Storm Strike. So it's up to you. You can use it. You can't. You can. You know, it's a personal preference. I actually might start using it a little bit more, just to see where the damage comes out at. Um, Technically, you might be doing a little bit more damage, but you might not be, just because of how hard the Storm Strike can hit, based on when you're fully buffed and everything's going good in the dungeon. So let's go back to our counter powers. For single target, we're using Hindering Strike, Marauder's Rush, and Boar Charge. All these powers hit hard as shit. The rotation, it's super easy. I'll show you guys. Then you're going to put Steel Breeze on for AoE. You can put Plant Growth, Hindering Strike, and Steel Breeze, but I think it's a little bit more beneficial to use Marauder's Rush still. If you're trying to get to that group first, this will definitely put you there. The range is 83 feet, so 83 feet away, you're zipping right to the freaking next motherfuckers, and you're fucking them up. All right. And Plant Growth, I don't really think it hits that hard. So, like that magnitude dot, I don't know. It doesn't hit. It just doesn't hit. Like, these mobs are going down fast, and sometimes they're not all spread out, and that's what Marauder's Rush is good for. Class features. Since we're staying in one stance, we're gonna keep this to 3 stacks. Right. Stacks are added from range stance. I don't know how high this goes up to, but I believe it's 9%. I didn't really say. But, you know, you're getting an extra 3% every single stack. I'm pretty sure it goes up to 9%. Then for AoE, you would want to be using this. You get 8% more damage whenever you're attacking more than 2 people. If I'm not used for a single target, I will obviously won't be using that. I'll be using most likely Seeker's Vengeance, just to get that extra 10% damage. I'm not too worried about using this on AoEs though, just because of the fact that you're running around trying to kill as many people as you can. I mean, sometimes they're mainly and always not behind. You're always not behind them, so it's hit or miss, and it's up to you what you want to use. Feats. So we're gonna be staying in our melee stance for this build, so you're getting an extra 20% damage. Storm recovery. Every time you do it in a counter power, your cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. And Blade Hurricane, it keeps our flurry up, which means our at-wills will be doing double damage. And I'll explain that a little bit further with the Mirage and how all that works. These two work hand in hand, and I'll explain that when I do the rotation. Like I said, I'm using Skirmisher's Gambit. I don't really fuck with Thorough Caution. I mean, you can ultimately get a 15% damage bonus when you pop it, and the cooldown's pretty low, so it's pretty nice. It just doesn't hit. It just doesn't hit hard. So, I mean, it'll boost my 2 other by 15%, but by using that and not using this, am I losing more than 15% damage in the long run? I'm not too sure. I haven't really tested it out, and I don't really care to test it out because I don't think it. I don't know. If you guys test it out, comment below and let me know what you think. This is a work in. I would say that, I'm not gonna say it's a work in progress build. I mean, it's where I want it at, and I don't know. I haven't really tested this in a run, whether the 15% is even good. It only hits one enemy for 100, and it gives you 15% extra damage. It might be useful, because then you would just use Marauder's Rush and Boar Charge, and those two powers can hit over 700k. Then you pop this, and you're doing 15 extra percent damage. So it's whatever the fuck 15% of 700k is, you're doing that much damage. But this will also hit that hard, and it's AoE. So say you're doing first boss of MTOS, all the spiders are out, you're doing good damage on every single freaking one of them. Alright, we already also went over enhanced conductivity. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far into this. It's just whatever you need to cap your stats. I'll show you it, give you a glimpse of what I'm using. But yeah. Sorry, I'm tired. So rotation. So when I was talking about those 2 feats, so we're always, with this build, we're always going to have our flurry up. And I forgot to explain one thing. Nature's Envoy, we don't really need to use this because we have the Blade Hurricane, and we always have a we always have our flurry up with our melee and counter powers. The way that I have it, the way this build is set up, you always normally, especially on boss fights, you always have flurry up. If you want to use this Nature's Envoy, it's going to be mainly for switching stances, and I wouldn't say actually switching stances. You would always still use Blade or Hurricane, just because if you're switching stances, you can always use a melee encounter in there and every 3 seconds, because it's basically the same build besides just using this feat, and this feat it's just annoying because it's basically telling you, okay, you hit a ranged power, okay, now go hit a melee power. Now just go hit another range. It's like you go back and forth. I mean, with the hunter build, it's like you switch stances for your range powers, and right when you go into melee stance, you do all 3 at once. Go back into it, and then yeah, it's simple because it's every time you switch a stance, not every time you do a power. So, but I'll be coming out with a build. I wouldn't say a bow Warden build is not. I wouldn't say it's that great, but a switching stance Warden build would actually be pretty decent. And it's gonna be a max damage build, not no buffing. I don't really care for all these buffs. These buffs, it's just like, I mean, a bow build could work because you get this. That's 10% extra damage. Does 440 magnitude. But it has a long ass cooldown. This has 715. It's the hardest hitting power and counter power for the ranger. It's pretty good. Then you would probably just use Constricting Arrow or Marauder's Escape for a single target. That would be the build right there. Also for AoE, sometimes I like to put on Fox Shift here instead of Marauder's Rush. This will be my AoE build sometimes. It'll hit a couple enemies. It'll hit them for like 150k, and you're increasing your movement speed, so that's also good, and it's slowing all the other guys. It's a good power to use when all the group's all bunched up, and then you immediately go right into Hindering Shot, or no, Hindering Strike, and then Steel Breeze right after. But let's go do the rotation with the single target. So basically, what I like to do is I start with the Storm Strike, the pop and a counter power, do a Storm Strike, pop and a counter power, do a Storm Strike, pop another encounter power. Then it's just rinse and repeat. You always are doing an encounter power. You always have that flurry up to keep that 3% that double damage from your at-wills up. So yeah, the more recharge speed you can get with just like not switching your because like there's one mount equip power that well, every time you use an artifact, it'll decrease your or increase your recharge speed by like 11.5% or something like that. But honestly, I don't really care for it. So one thing I also need to explain is that Blade Hurricane, it's doubling the damage of my at wills, and it's also doubling the damage of the Mirage. So when I go into an MTOS, which I think I might try to post a video of completion of MTOS as a Warden. Um, my Storm Strike is hitting hard as shit, and I was doing an MTOS one time, right? My Storm Strike's hitting hard, and I thought these ticks on the screen, these damage numbers on the screen were just for my Storm Strike. I was like, okay, but it turns out it was actually my Mirage. My Mirage are hitting 100 plus K every single time it hits. So, and I'm saying, like, if it hits like 10 times, every single one of them hits 10 times, you times that by 100K, that's 1 mil. Times 3, that's 3 mil every 30 seconds. So in a minute, you're doing 6 mil extra damage. And if it's in a 5-minute boss fight, you're doing 30 mil damage just based on that. And then say you die in a fight, and say you're fighting ads, you die, you respawn really quick, and you're right next to the ads, especially right before you get to the second boss, you can immediately respawn at that 2 groups of ads right there. Your Mirage is cooled down already. For some reason it works like that. That whenever you die and respawn, your cooldown on the Mirage weapons, it's automatically reset. So every time you die in that type of situation, you automatically have another set of Mirages up. You do a 1 encounter power, you're buffing yourself, you're buffing your Mirages. You're doing insane amounts of damages. So that's it pretty much for the build. Comment down below if you have any questions. Let me know what's going on. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be posting a switching stance Warden build. I might post my regular Hunter Ranger build. I mean, it's the cookie cutter Hunter Ranger build. Try to get as much damage as you possibly can, and all that jazz. I might try to go a little bit in depth with it, other than unlike other people do. So I might just do that. But that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right.